Alright, we're back here with another tutorial on firework editing. Yay! So if you took some firework pictures this 4th of July and you don't really know what to do with them because you're like, I took these, but I don't really know how to edit them. If you have Lightroom or Photoshop, this will work the same way in Photoshop if you use the camera raw filter. But we're going to turn our photos from basically from this into this, which is the real photo. This is just the data that it took, and the data that's still there is this. I didn't do anything magical to this. I just played with a bunch of sliders and made magic. So, alright, so starting with your base right here, that's a super blown out, that's of the finale. So I shot this at, looks like 6 seconds at f13 at 100 ISO, and it still blew out this section here. So I was a little bit worried about it. But I think, in fact, all I had to do was drag the highlights all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of these settings real quick, just so I have them handy. Alright, we'll leave that up here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and reset this, and we're going to try to get back to that original picture. I think the first thing I would do is just take my exposure down to see what I can pull out of it. Like, oh, actually, I have pretty good amount of data in that white section that I wasn't sure about. In here, there is some pure white, obviously, but not that much. So I'm going to take my exposure down until my pure whites up here just disappear. So we'll start at negative 205, which that's already looking pretty cool. So what we can do still is then keep taking our highlights out, push our shadows a bit, so we get some of the background. Whites can stay, blacks can stay. Clarity, definitely need clarity for fireworks. So I like to boost my clarity up to probably 85. And then vibrance as well. You can crank that up to, say, 70, 80. Give it some good color boost. You can even play with the saturation a bit if you're looking for some oranges. But really what it's all about is your white balance. So hopefully you shot your pictures in RAW, and you can drag this toward the blue side of the world and give it some magical coloring, basically. And really what you want to do is match your bottom to realistic world down here. You know what I mean? So if you change your color balance to whatever that looks decent with, which is right about here for me, so let's call it 2800, and bam, there's some fireworks. Now that's a little bit too blue for me, so I'm going to go 3000 instead of 2800. Sure. So let's see how close I was to my original settings here. So I was at 3200 instead, as well as I overexposed instead of underexposed. So there's several ways you can do this. You just kind of play with it until it looks good. That's really the biggest piece of advice I have for you. Is play with it until it looks good. And a lot to do with your color balance to get those really rich blues and greens in there. And if you want to fake it and punch some magenta in there, you can. But I didn't. I mean, it's already set at +12 from the camera. So that's just the way it's compensated for whatever green was happening in the frame. It was an auto white balance, I'm assuming. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. Let's go to these settings real quick just to see what the difference is. 0.8 basically. 50 on contrast. Oh, I boosted the contrast a little bit. And I dragged my highlights all the way down. And my whites I probably boosted a little bit just to give it that punch. But let's see what our actual settings are. So highlights were negative 100, plus 22, 52, and negative 32. So this is 22, 52, and negative 32. And if you want to kind of define them a little bit more, that clarity slider is just a key to magic, and the vibrance slider, obviously. And say I want to throw some more orange in here, you can bring your, yeah, those reds and oranges come up real good if you drag your saturation up. I don't know, I feel like saturation's fake, vibrance is real. But with fireworks, I mean, you're trying to make the most colorful image possible. So as long as you're not making anything super bloody, like it's bleeding, like you see how these reds are bleeding? Just a little bit. Kind of want to get rid of that maybe, but I don't know. They look pretty good to me. So that's it. I mean, let's see. I always add a little bit of noise reduction So 25, go with 25, almost always works. It depends on the photo of whether I'm going to enable profile correction or not, and then you can also distort it more or less if you want. I kind of like it so it looks like it's coming towards us, so I'm going to do that. I don't really need vignetting on this unless you want to do like a white vignette for some reason. Yeah, I don't, so I'm just going to reset that to zeros. Dehaze might work as well on this photo, depending on what's going on in your background. But you can get creative, get crazy with it if you want, using your dehazer. So say you didn't want those clouds to be so visible in the background. That's a good way to get rid of those. Or say you wanted to make it look like it was very low contrast. Either way. I'm just going to leave mine at 0 because I kind of like those clouds back there. Looks cool. Anyway, that's pretty much it. This looks a little bit too fancy for me, so I'm going to bring the vibrance and clarity back down. So 76 and 31. Or sorry, not vibrance and clarity, but vibrance and saturation. Cool. Now my clarity is where I want it. Cool. I think we're set. So there's your original, there's the final. And that works with pretty much all of them. So this one, all the settings are going to be a little bit different. It's going to be whatever that picture requires. It's just to your preference. So whatever you want to do, that's it. I hope you have fun editing your 4th of July photos. See you later.